The publicity, the free publicity was a huge move that you made all the time, getting that support behind you. And that's something I do with my social media, with my diving. Being able to make videos around what I do and post costs me nothing to post and share across these media channels that can be seen by millions.
Yes.
But when they didn't have social media, you still managed to pull off these public...
Yes, and what I did in my day was, of course, it was very hard to get on television. There were only 5 big television stations. There was no such thing as YouTube or anything like that.
No TikTok back then?
No, nothing like that. And so, but I found out, I'll tell you this story. I was in a dentist's waiting room waiting for the dentist, and there was a magazine there, as there always are. I opened up the magazine and it had a picture of a petrol-powered pogo stick. Now, you might wonder what that was, because it's the strangest thing I'd ever heard, but it was a pogo stick that you can jump up and down on with a little 2-stroke petrol motor attached to it. And it cost $120. So I immediately sent off for one, and I got it back and I jumped around on it, put the petrol in, and it was completely useless. You could do about 2 jumps before it would backfire.
Were they selling this thing legit?
Yeah, they were selling it legitimately. It was beautifully made, beautifully engineered, but I could never get more than 2 or 3 hops out of it before it would backfire. But I thought, this is the way to get some publicity, and I'd never ever had any free publicity. But I rang up the Sun Herald newspaper, which is still today one of our leading newspapers in Sydney.
Did you just call the local line?
I just rang up and I said, I've got news. Can I talk to news? So they put me through to a reporter, and his name, I'm just trying to think of his name, because he became quite famous as he would write stories about unusual things. Peter Spooner was his name.
He would have become a frequent writer for you.
He did. His name was Peter Spooner, and I said, Peter, Dick Smith here, I'm the electronic nut. And you could feel him a bit strange at the end of the phone. I said, I've just bought in this petrol-powered pogo stick, and I'm going to bring 20,000 in for every housewife. And they'll all be going to the supermarket on the petrol-powered pogo stick in future. They won't be walking. Now, it was the most ridiculous thing. It wasn't going to happen. But he said, oh, can I come out and do a story? And I said, yeah, that's my idea. So he came out from the Sydney Morning Herald office to my office in northern Sydney, and we took it up to the petrol station to see how much it would cost to fill up with fuel. I think it was 2 cents. That's all the fuel we could get in it. And then I did a jump on it, and 2 jumps before it backfired. I never told him it can't do more than 2 jumps, but he thought it was great. And so he wrote this article about the bringing it in to sell to housewives to go to the supermarket. And the next day, that was on the Saturday, on the Sunday, there was a major photo of me with the pogo stick. And what I couldn't believe is that night, the TV station rang up, Channel 9, which was the leading Channel 9, as it is pretty well these days, and they had a Tonight Show, and they invited me in with my petrol-powered pogo stick on the Tonight Show.
Were you nervous to use it?
I was
on set?
Very nervous to go on national television live.
With a pogo stick that you...
Yeah, with a pogo stick that didn't work. And so I had our motive in those days was the little dickhead, a picture of Dick Smith in black and white. So I cut them out from little ads we had. I stuck them on the pogo stick knowing that the media would probably show the engine, and so there would be a Dick Smith figure. And went on the late show on Channel 9 and jumped around on the stage, only 2 jumps before it backfired, and told them my story about how all the housewives would be buying them in future. And then the next day I got invited on the Today Show. And so from that point on, I learned if you answer things quickly and in a fun way, that you get publicity. And so from that point on, I was a regular on television. I saw overseas a thing called an earthquake detector. It was the most ridiculous thing. It was a plastic box with a weight in it that would move across and ding the side of the box if there was an earthquake.
Okay.
I think it might have set off a bell.
Yeah.
So I bought that. And I rang up Peter Spooner. I said, I've got a new invention, an earthquake detector. Every family should have one. And so that went on newspaper, then it went on television. And from that point on, I was a regular on television